And welcome back to the Texas Longhorn Football Channel. I am your host, Anwar Richardson, with my main man, Amon Artie Temkin. Is going to always use that because he's got 18 jobs.
Amon, you only have 2 jobs.
You're a loser. And for everyone else who's got one who has 1 to 2 jobs, Ari is the one that we aspire to. So do me a favor, make sure you click the like button. Click the subscribe button. As you guys can see, I'm back home here in beautiful Austin, Texas, really Cedar Park, Texas, beautiful as it is. Ari, kind of before we decided to go.
By the way, I was looking. My wife works in real estate and she does marketing for mortgage, and so she's like looking yesterday at like just the housing market in Austin, and so it's like. But I just wanted to tell you, you're sitting on very valuable property right now, Anwar.
Yeah, well. So you're sitting on it. The problem is you just can't get off your seat, because if you get off your seat, then you go in under the top end of the market. So
right, you get more money for your house, but then you also have to buy it way more.
You'd have to buy one. So unless I sell my house and move to Mexico, it sounds great. It sounds amazing. I just don't know what to do with all this alleged equity that I have. It's just kind of like funny money. It's like Bitcoin stuff. I don't know what it means. It just seems everyone seems
I have to live somewhere.
And now someone wants to buy my place and find me a place that I can rent off the lake for $1,000 a month. I'll be there. All right, hit like and subscribe. Ari, before we came on, there was some breaking news that happened here on a Wednesday, which was Cameron Dicker finally made his announcement and announced that he was going to go into the NFL. And a lot of us, we've been waiting for Cameron to kind of decide, what's he going to do. It does surprise me a little bit, Ari, just because it's a little late in the process. And, it's mid-January, but, I would have thought that if this is something he was, potentially going to go to the NFL, I would have thought, all right, he does this early, maybe he tries to get to a Senior Bowl invite, all these other type of things. And it seems like he was still trying to weigh his options. Now, the great part for him is there's still a lot of time left on the clock for him. He still has his stats that's going to speak for himself. He still has punting and kicking abilities. And, so he still has a lot of time, and it's a kicker. So, it's probably a good idea, because at the most part, our kickers aren't going in the 3rd round. They're not going in the 4th round as it is. So I don't know if his draft stock improves. But I thought, maybe the appeal of coming back, NIL deal, something like that. I thought that would kind of do it. But no, so you could say I was definitely a little bit surprised. What about you?
Yeah, surprised. The timing of it is odd. His stats are good, but I don't know. It's weird. Who is the kid? I'm trying to look up the Lou Groza winner from this year, because this kid was like, was it Jake Moody from Michigan? Is that who won it?
Yeah, here's the thing, Ari. If I ever know who's the top kickers in the country, then I'm clearly, I got too much time on my hand.
That's a fair point. I guess I was trying to evaluate him in the landscape of kickers going in this draft, and I suppose he got good information. So much of these decisions are based on the information you have. And, look, we saw Lil Jordan Humphrey leave despite probably getting told that he was going to go undrafted or at least be a late round pick, and he still made the decision to go. Kickers, I want to say there's probably an average of 1 kicker per year that gets drafted. I do wonder how he projects in the NFL. Is he a guy that teams will want to do both? You can only carry one then on your roster, and you open up an extra roster spot if you only carry 1 place kicker, 1 punter. I don't know. There's just a lot of thoughts I have swirling in my head. I am surprised by it. His stats weren't he's automatic from extra point, but he hasn't been great long distance kicking. So there's some things there where I'm like, I think he was 7 for 11 from 40 to 49 this year. That's not going to get it done at the NFL level.
Well, here's the stats, Ari, that UT provides in the 49 games that he was appeared in at UT. Scores 386 points, which is, they say, the most ever by a Texas kicker, and 3rd most of any position in program history. Again, we're talking UT. You're talking big picture, right? But ends up being UT's career leader in field goals made, which is 60, tied for first in career attempts, which is at 79. The extra points at 206. Field goal accuracy, it ends up being a 75.9%. So I get that's what you're talking about right there. 60 of 79. He did have a 57-yarder in his career, but he's also known for his punting ability as well. To me, Ari, he projects as a guy who, 7th round undrafted. I mean, which is probably the safe and fair range. There might be a team that likes having someone who could do both. Punter and kicker, having that versatility just in case the guys get injured. But that kicker thing is such an odd thing in the NFL. Ari, as far as who ends up sticking and who doesn't, it almost seems like once you're in, you're in. Once you get in a fraternity, you are. But yeah, the question really would have become, Ari, do we think his draft stock would have improved much more if he actually came back for one more season?
I would think so. Because I expect Texas to be a lot better next year, especially on offense. And so if you're scoring more points, you're more opportunities to kick. So yeah, I mean, I would think so. It's interesting. There's been some good kickers in the history of Texas. So, surprised that he holds all those records. I mean, Justin Tucker obviously is one that comes to mind. Phil Dawson, isn't he a Texas kicker? So I mean, there's been some good ones. I don't know how it's kind of weird to me that, not weird, it's surprising to me that he has those records. But yeah, I would think so. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you think he'd improve his draft stock if he came back?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. It could potentially, but again, you got to value the kicking position, which, again, a lot of teams in the NFL don't. They don't evaluate it when they don't have one. And then that's when it becomes more valuable, to them. But all right, let me ask you this question, okay? Now that Dicker is gone, they've got an incoming freshman by the name of Will Stone, who comes in and it ends up being kind of a guy.
How do they have such great kicking names?
Yes, that is a badass kicking name, like Will Stone, right? It's kind of like,
amazing.
It's kind of like I named my kid like Maximus, right? I mean, he better be badass in something. I can't have Maximus going and get picked on, like, oh, Maximus got picked on in school today. If you are Steve Sarkisian, though, and you're looking at Will Stone, on the roster, what do you think? That do you stay with it? Or do you have to look in the portal and start wondering about, all right, what do you have to find other options? Like what do you do going forward if you're Steve Sarkisian?
It's a great question, because obviously kicking is undervalued to a certain degree. I think in terms of like how important it is to have the right guy. You only really recognize it when you don't have the right guy, then suddenly it becomes a huge problem. I mean, I think that's got to be a huge part of spring for this team and figuring out if he's the guy, because if not, then you've got to basically spend the next few months before the season starts to try to figure out who your kicker is. I don't think you're dipping in the scholarship waters. You're already at a low number at this point anyways. Now, maybe there are some names that will be in the portal that we don't know about yet in terms of Texas that will replenish some of those numbers. But I mean, you and Ketch talked about it earlier this week about Jaleel Billingsley. Like, has he done enough in his career at Alabama to justify a roster spot, a scholarship opportunity here, considering, he doesn't provide exactly what you're looking for in the portal in terms of a legitimate outside threat as a playmaker, and he's not a great blocking tight end. It's interesting. So it's a long way to say, like, I don't know from a scholarship standpoint that you could withstand another, wasted spot, quote unquote. So maybe they look beyond Will Stone at the portal, or just like, we don't have a scholarship opportunity, but come kick here. But obviously, ideally, Will Stone's the guy.
See, the thing about Will Stone is he kicks at a small school, right? Regents School of Austin, which, let's just be honest, not too many people have ever heard of. But he did have major offers already. Like, he did have, I think, a Michigan State pursuing him. There were other programs that were after him. So, Texas ends up getting a, kicker that people wanted. It was in your own backyard. But I think also too, if you are Sarkisian and, we talk about positions of need, you can't sneeze at saying, hey, losing a guy who was your kicker and punter, right? Dual purpose. That's a major loss. And there's some other things where you could say, all right, getting another wide receiver, that helps. But, the thing that we talked about, whether it's receiver or safety or anything like that, you don't miss a kicker. You don't miss these specialists until they aren't there, right?
Right.
You don't realize you need a long snapper until a guy is snapping the ball over, your punter's head or rolling it. And then you're saying, my God, where the hell is our long snapper?
Right.
Right. You don't realize how much you need a kicker until all of a sudden when you're trying to make the easy shots and those things aren't there. The same thing with punting. You don't realize how much you need one until you need someone to flip the field and you can't get it out of them. So I think, to me, going forward, you want Will Stone on campus, obviously, but if I'm a Sarkisian, I think now looking in the portal, seeing if there are other options there, creating some competition out there. And I know you said you're hesitant on using the scholarship, and I know having 2 scholarship kickers is less than ideal. Right? But you don't want that kind of situation.
But you also don't want to have a bad kicking situation.
Yes, correct. Do you want to trust that to a true freshman who's never really played in anything this big and this kind of a big environment? That being said, a lot of times kickers are 50-50 to me, Ari.
Right.
But yeah, I'll close out by saying good luck to Cameron Dicker. And I think everyone will always remember him as a guy from that OU kick, Ari, the wink before, sealing that one, which was Sam Ellinger's sophomore season. So that had to be 2018, if I'm correct. Yeah. So, he'll always remember for that and always being folklore, a guy that stepped in as a punter. It was very, productive, after having a guy like Dixon on campus. He ends up being, very productive, for them. So, good luck to you, Cameron. Good luck. Enjoy the NFL. Enjoy everything that entails. And I'm sure there's a lot of Longhorn fans that'll be rooting for you. You got anything else, Ari?
Just don't kick. You can do that too. You can just go for it all the time on 4th down. Hey, team never kick. I'm on that team.
Don't give people flashbacks about 4th and 11, Ari. So we'll move past that. Hey, make sure you click like and subscribe to the Texas Longhorn football channel from my main man Ari Richardson, Ari Temkin. This is Anwar Richardson. Man, I need to get some sleep. I think I'm tired. And no, I don't have any of the Colorado products with me. It should be coming soon, though. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.